Hello guys, welcome to another video. Today we are going to solve the problem which is called unique paths 3. So the question is as such, you are given an m into n integer array grid where grid could be 1 which represents the starting square. This is the source node. This is where we are starting. 2. 2 represents the ending square. This is where we are going to end. There is only going to be one starting square and one ending square. Now 0. 0 means there are going to be empty squares over which we can walk over. Minus 1 represents obstacles that we cannot walk over. You have to return the total number of 4 directional walks from the starting square to the ending square that walk over every non-obstacle square exactly once. So the important point in this question is that you have to walk over every non-obstacle square exactly once. You have to use all of the squares. So let's see an example. So the example is this. Now let's see what are the possible paths. The robot is at the starting position. Let me take out the web paint. So the robot is at this starting position and we have to reach the ending position. So the ending position that we have to reach is this flag. Flag is the ending position and we are at the starting position, which is this robot. Now from here to here there can be many paths, right? For example, this is one path, but this is not an acceptable path. This is not acceptable because if you are taking this path, you are not covering all the remaining squares. These all squares are going to be left out, so you have to cover all the squares. So if these squares are going to be left out, it is not a valid path. So let's take an example of a valid path. So this, for example, will be a valid path because in this all the squares that are empty, you are going to cover all that squares. Okay. And then what about this square? This is an obstacle. You need not cover an obstacle. You cannot visit obstacle, so you can ignore the obstacle. Obstacle is represented by -1. Okay. So obstacle is represented by -1, empty path is represented by 0, and a starting node is represented by 1 and a destination is represented by 2. So in the grid, you have to find out all the possible valid paths. So this is one possible path which is covering all the squares. Okay. So this is one path and then we have this as the path. So there are two paths. Let's see again. This is one of the path because it is starting from this node, it is ending at this node and it is covering all the squares that are empty. The second path is like this. It is starting here, it is ending here and it is covering all the squares that are empty. Okay. So let's see one more example. Here, this is the starting node where the robot is there and the ending node is the flag. From the starting to ending, you have to find out all possible valid paths. You have to return the count. In this case, there are no obstacles. So there are going to be more paths than the previous case. So for example, this is one of the valid paths because you are covering all the squares. Okay. And what about if you take something like this? This is not a valid path because you are not covering all the squares. Okay. So this is a valid path because you are covering all the squares. So when you write down all the paths in this particular case, you will be able to see that there will be 4 paths. So in this case, these are the paths that they have listed and you have to return 4 as the answer. Okay. So we have seen example. So this is our flow. We have seen examples. Okay. This part we had done. Now let us see the approach. Okay. So what is the approach? Let us think about it. You have to start from the starting point and you have to go till the ending point. And you have to cover all the possible squares and return how many such ways are there. Okay. So let's say you are given a grid. Okay. Let us, a starting point can be anywhere. This can be a starting point, right? Let's say this is a starting point and then there is some ending node. Okay. Let's say the ending node is here. The ending node also can be anywhere. So from the starting point to the ending point and in between you may have some obstacle like this, right? Now in this case, is it possible to visit the path? See, in this case, if you try listing down, you will not be able to cover all the squares, right? Because if you try covering, you will be stuck in a loop. You will not be able to cover all the possible squares, right? Because in this case, if you try covering all the possible squares, there is no way that you will be able to cover. You cannot repeat on the path again, right? You cannot cover. So in this case, the answer will be 0. Okay. Let's try to take some other example. So let us say this is the starting node. Let's take a simple example. And this is the ending node. So starting is represented by 1, ending is represented by 2. And let's say you have an obstacle. you have these as the obstacles. Okay, so in this case, what are the possibilities? So this is one possible path, right? You are covering all the free obstacles, all the free paths, and you are going from here to here. So this is one of the possibilities. Okay, so how are we going to solve this problem? Okay, so in this case, we are going to start from the starting node, right? And then we are going to try visiting all the nodes which are possible to visit. So which nodes can you visit? Once you try visiting the neighbors, there can be possibilities. One is that your index goes out of bounds. So if your index goes out of the bounds, then you have to stop that path, right? So we will not go along this path because the index is going out of bound. This path also we cannot go. In this path, we are seeing an obstacle. So whenever you see -1 or the index goes out of bounds, in all these three cases, you cannot visit the path. Okay. So where will you visit? Once you are trying to visit the neighbor, it should be an empty path. So if it is an empty path or a destination path, you can visit it. So let us start from the source node and let us try visiting this path. Okay. Now when we are at this cell, again we have 4 possibilities, right? We can visit all the 4 neighbors. Okay. So in this case, what will you do? In this case, if you visit, so let's take the first case, right? We have 4 neighbors. Let's say we visit this neighbor back again. This is a problem for us because from the first cell you came to this cell, and from this cell, if you try going back to this cell, you will enter into an infinite recursive loop. You will keep calling this neighbor again and again. This neighbor will call the second neighbor will call the first neighbor, and so on. So how to solve this problem? So to solve this problem, there is a simple approach. You can keep a visited matrix. So you can keep a visited matrix. You can say that I have already visited the first path, which is true. If I have already visited it, then this cell will see that I have already visited this cell, and it will not make a call back to the neighbor. So we will not enter into the recursive condition, right? So it's very important while doing the DFS, which is the depth first search or breadth first search, you will need to keep visited. So in this case, we are going to do the depth first search. So we have kept it as visited, right? We have marked it as true. So now when we come into this cell, we have 4 options. We will not take the left option because it's already true. Okay. So we will try taking the remaining options. Now when we take the topmost option, the index goes out of bounds, right? You cannot visit that cell. So you can try visiting this cell or you can try visiting this cell. Okay. So we have 2 possibilities. Let me write out the possibility, this possibility and this possibility. So let us visit any of the possibilities, right? Let us visit this possibility now, and then we'll come back here. So when we are visiting this possibility, I'll mark this as true and go forward. Now we have come to this cell. Now in this cell, we again have 4 cases, right? So we have 4 cases. You cannot visit this cell back because this is true. You cannot visit this cell because it's out of bounds. You cannot visit top cell because it's out of bounds. So you only have the bottom option. So you'll mark it as true and you will visit the bottom option, this cell. Okay. When you visit this cell, now what will happen? You cannot go front because it is true. You cannot go right because it is out of the bounds. You can go left or you can go down. In case we go down, we will reach this particular cell, right? So we have reached this cell. So this is the destination cell which we have reached. But once we have reached the destination cell, is this the correct answer? In this particular question, see the path that you took, you started from this, went here, and reached the destination cell. But is this the correct answer? Is this one possible path? It is not, because these all cells remain unvisited. These all cells remain unvisited. So it is not the correct answer, because you have to visit all possible empty cells, right? So these cells are obstacles. It is fine if you don't visit them, but you didn't visit these 2 cells, right? You didn't visit these 2 cells when you tried to go on your path. You just visited from here to here. 2 cells are empty that you did not visit. So in that case, because of this reasons, because you couldn't visit these 2 cells, so in that case you will have to say that this is not a valid path. So if it is not a valid path, what are you going to do? You are going to backtrack. You will backtrack and you will remove this. So once you remove this, you will mark this as false. Okay, you'll mark this as false so that you can backtrack and try to find a valid path. Okay. So now we go back, and then again what we do, once we go back, we come back to this particular cell, right? We come back to this particular cell. When we are coming to this cell back, right? We made the call to this cell. We backtracked and came back to this cell. Once we came to this cell, okay, again we have, let me remove this arrow so that it's not confusing. Okay. Again we have this cell. Now in this cell, you again had 4 possibilities, right? The top possibility is not possible because it's true. The right possibility is not possible because it is out of bounds. The down possibility we already visited. So we have the left possibility, right? So if we have the left possibility, we can visit it. So what we will do, we will visit that left possibility. Before visiting, we will mark this as true, and we will go here. We'll mark this as true and go this side. So once we go this side, right? So once we go this side, so we are going to visit the left cell. So once we visit the left cell, right? So we came from here and now we are going to visit the left cell. So from here now you can go here. Okay, from here there are again 4 possibilities that you can take. Once you try taking the top possibility, it's already true. The right cell is also true. The left cell is an obstacle. So the only path is you can go to the down cell. So you'll mark it as true and go to the down cell. Now again from here you have 4 possibilities. The top possibility is true. So you cannot visit it. It's already visited. Left is an obstacle. Okay. Down it's out of the bound. So you only have one possible case. Okay. In this case, you will mark this as true and you will visit the possible case, which is destination. So you have been able to reach the destination. And in this case, you know that you have visited all the cells, because all the cells that were needed to be visited, all the cells that were empty, all those have been visited. How do you know that all the cells have been visited? In this case, you have found the answer. So in that case, you can keep a count of all the cells that have the value 0. And whenever along the path, right, you visit the destination, so your node is the destination, and the count of 0. Okay, so when you're going along the path, you keep a count of 0. The count of 0 is the count that is expected, right? So initially in the input matrix we have, this is the input matrix, right? You have 1, -1, -1, 2, and all these cells are 0. This is the input matrix. So you keep a count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So count of 0 is 5. And whenever you are going along the path and whenever you hit a destination cell and the count of 0 is also equal to 5, right? When both the conditions are true, in that case you know that you have hit a correct path. So in that case you can increase your answer by 1. This is a simple logic. Okay. Now there is one more thing. When we were keeping this visited array, right, we are using extra space complexity. So to optimize this, there is one better approach. Instead of declaring this visited array, okay, you can also mark the cells in the matrix itself. So in the input matrix itself, instead of declaring this visited array, this is just one optimization. Okay, even the visited matrix will work, but the optimization is that in this particular matrix itself, when you are going along a path, right, and you are visiting a path, okay, initially all these are 0. Let's say you are starting from here and you are visiting this path. So whenever you are visiting this path, you mark it as -1, so that next time no cell will visit it, because whenever your cell is -1, nobody will visit it, right? So mark it as -1 and then make a call here. So this cell is now 0. This cell will see that the previous cell is -1. It will not make a call to the cell which is already visited. So in the matrix itself, you can keep a mark by whenever you visit a cell, you can mark it as -1, and while backtracking, you can mark it back as 0. So that is one optimization that we can do. So we have discussed the approach. We are going to use depth first search, and for visited also we have discussed the optimization, and for destination also we have discussed. Whenever we reach the destination, we also have to check. It is not just important that we reach the destination, we also have to check that the count of 0 is equal to the initial count in the input matrix. Along the path, the number of zeros that you visit should be equal to the number of zeros in the input matrix. So these are the two conditions that you have to check. Now let's think of the base condition. What are the base conditions? So base condition is if a cell is equal to -1, that means it's already visited, right? You can return. In that case, this you have to check whether if a cell is -1, in that case you can return. And you also have to check if you are reaching the destination node, right? If you are reaching the destination node. So when you are reaching the destination node, so if your cell is equal to 2, that is the condition when you are reaching a destination node. You have to take care of these conditions. And also one more important base condition, index should not go out of bounds, because whenever you are calling the neighbors, there is a possibility that index goes out of bounds. So you have to check your index should always be in range. So I should be greater than equal to 0. I should be less than n, where n is the number of rows, and j should be greater than equal to 0, and j should be less than m, where m is the number of columns. So these are the important points that you need to keep in mind. Okay. Now let's discuss the time complexity and space complexity, and then we'll see the code. So time complexity of this solution. See, let's say you are visit any particular cell. Let's say you have any particular cell, right? How many possibilities are there of visiting it? Okay. Let's say we start from this cell. So from the source cell, there are 4 possibilities. Let's just discuss the possibilities. It is possible that all the 4 cells may not actually turn out to be the cells that we are going to visit, but still there are going to be 4 possibilities that you can start from, right? Okay. So you can start for this, you can visit all the 4 neighbors. Okay. Now when you come to this cell, okay, you visit this cell. Okay, let's say you visit this cell. You have visited this cell, so I'll make it as -1. Let's say we visit. Now from this cell, how many possibilities are there? You have 4 possibilities, right? You have 4 possibilities. Let us think about this. So when we come to this cell, from this cell, now how many possibilities do you have? See, from this cell, you know that you are never going to visit the parent cell because that parent cell made a call to you. See, this cell called this cell. Okay, the first cell called the second cell. This is the first cell and this is the second cell. So first cell is making a call to the second cell. Now second cell knows that first cell made a call to it, so first is already visited. First we have marked it as -1 because it's already visited. So second cell is never going to visit first cell, right? So second cell only has 3 possibilities. This one, or the top cell. It is never going to visit the cell which called it, right? So for each, except the source node, all other cells will just have 3 possibilities, right? So each cell will have 3 possibilities. Next cell will have 3 possibilities. Next cell will also have 3 possibilities. You are not going to visit the cell that called you. So it is only going to be 3 possibilities, not 4. So when you think about the time complexity, the number of total cells is what? Number of total cells is m into n, right? Which is the size of the matrix. M into n is the size of the matrix. So 3 into m power n will be the time complexity of this solution. Since you are backtracking and you are cutting down calls, there will be obstacles also. This may not be the actual complexity. Actual complexity will be better than this. But the worst case, the time complexity is exponential 3 power m into n. And the space complexity is, okay, O of m into n. Because when we are doing the DFS, we are going to make recursive calls on the stack. So you're going to use the stack. So the maximum stack size will be the height of the cells. So in the worst case, all the possible cells can be entered. So the space complexity will be O of m into n. So we have discussed the time and the space complexity. Now let's see the code. So we are starting with count as 0 and we are marking the size of the grid. We are taking the parameters for the size of the grid, which is n and m. So I'm starting with the source node. We have to find out the source node. Source node can be anywhere. It is not given, right? For example, in this case, the source node is this particular cell. It is not 0, 0. We have to find out which is the source node. Source node can be anywhere, right? It's not necessary it is at 0, 0 in this question. So you have to take care of the fact that source node can be anywhere. So iterate over once. Iterate over the entire grid once and find out where is the source node. So whenever the source node, we hit the source node, that cell will have a value of 1. So if grid of ij is 1, we are hitting the source node. So I have kept the parameters. Source of x is equal to I and source of y is equal to j. So I and j are my source nodes, right? So I'm just marking the source node. And whenever I hit a 0, right? Whenever I hit a 0, so in this case, I'm going to keep a count. Because I want to count the number of input zeros that I have, because I have to compare it with during my DFS and find out if the input zeros are equal to the number of zeros on my path, and that is when I will get a valid path, right? So this condition is very important. So keep a count of the zeros. So I've kept a count of the zeros. Okay. So now I'm calling my DFS. This is the DFS call that I'm making, and the answer that I will return from this call is what I will return back to the main function. Okay. So initially answer is 0 and the count of zeros that we have seen till now is also 0. So let us enter into the DFS. So first condition that we have to check is whether we are going out of bounds. So this is a check for that. If we go out of bounds, we can simply return. Okay. Next base condition is if we are ever reaching -1, that means we have hit an obstacle or we have reached a cell which is already visited. We can return. Next condition is if we are reaching the destination. Destination is marked by 2. So in this case, you are going to reach the destination. So whenever you are reaching the destination, you have to check whether the count is equal to the count or not. In that case, you can increment your answer and you can return from here. Now, I can mark the cell as visited. So whenever I'm applying a DFS, I mark the cell as visited. So by visited, I'm making the cell as -1. And while backtracking, finally, I'll make the cell back to 0. Okay? So This is marking it to -1 and this is backtracking it back to 0. Now let us visit its neighbors. So I have just visited all the 4 neighbors. So I am taking the top neighbor, down neighbor, right neighbor and left neighbor. So I am taking all the 4 neighbors, and whenever I see that a neighbor is within index ranges, okay, so I should keep this, I can keep this here. So I can call the DFS on this particular neighbor. And whenever I hit the count, so I am calling the DFS and I am hitting the count every time. So I will increase my count for the destination cell also. So that is why I have given this condition, count till now -1 is equal to count, because whenever I am making the DFS call, I am counting every time. So one time I will count the destination cell also. So I should keep count of that. And then let's submit this code and see if it's working. It's working. That's it. Thank you for being patient and listening.